Oh baby, today we're talking about white people. Sometimes they look like this, sometimes they look like that, but they're always in someone else's business. We started in this part of the earth and then we figured out ships and now we're at all these other places on earth and there's a lot of opinions about that movement, but we're not talking about that today. When I first started my internet content career, I thought to myself, Tucker, speak to what you know, and what I know is Catholicism and white people, and today I'm gonna focus on the whites. There's a lot of silly aspects of white culture, like casseroles and yo-yos. I don't know what it is, I don't know why white people really fuck with yo-yos that much, but we're going hard with it. But there's something that us white people cannot really get a fundamental handle on, and it's naming our children. We keep fucking that up pretty consistently. I mean, historically it's been fine, like the biblical times, like John and the Luke and all those guys, they had pretty normal names. But over time and throughout generations, we've kind of just dwindled down into an alphabet soup of letters that kind of end up sounding like Haley, and that's not okay. But I wanted to get us back on track. So in today's video, I'm gonna take every white person's name that I either think is cool or I have a problem with, and I'm gonna put them all on a tier list, and we're gonna figure out what you should name kids when you eventually have kids. I know, who the fuck am I talking about? None of you guys are gonna have kids. So we're gonna start off with the men, because I'm sexist, I guess. Up first, we have Robert. Pretty basic, pretty easy name. For some reason, when I think of Robert, I think of rabbit. I think of a buck-toothed man, probably a little bit, you know, snarky. But also, Robert is one of those names that has a million nicknames for it, even though it doesn't really make a lot of sense. People named Robert can go by Rob, Robbie, Bob, Bobby. And I do not understand why we're allowed to take an R and turn it into a B. That kind of makes me angry a little bit. But I do want to say the comedic value of a man named Bob. Hey, Bob. That's hilarious to me. But once again, I can't imagine like a 2-year-old kid named Bob or Robert. Like, it's just such an adult name. So we're gonna put that at C, I think. I think that's a C-level name. Next up, we have John. Now, John has the same ability to transform at the drop of a hat like Robert, but for some reason, John has 4 letters and we're allowed to switch out 3 of them and call them Jack. That doesn't make too much sense to me. That makes me angry. John is probably the most boring white name you could have. Hello, my name is John. I go to church on the big holidays and I have the perfect amount of credit card debt. Jack has a little bit more fun to it, like Jack Reacher or Jack in the Box. Jack of all trades. There's a lot of fun with Jack, but at the end of the day, hiding under that light veil is a John, and that's kind of a bummer. We're gonna put that in C as well. Then we have David, another biblical name. David, Davy, Dave, not great. Davy is the guy with one eye who hangs around the back of the Olive Garden, and Dave is the guy who owns the Olive Garden. So it really, there's a lot of transformations you can have with this one name. Personally, I really enjoy a name that you can change throughout the ages, like a little Davy, a young David, and an old Dave. Like, I feel like that works out pretty well, so I'm gonna put it at B tier. I enjoy Dave. So now I have some names that are for really old people that kids aren't called that anymore, but I really think we should start calling children really old people names because I think that's funny. Up first, Ebenezer. Now, I know what you're thinking. Ebenezer Scrooge is a fictional character, but Ebenezer used to be a real name, but it kind of fell out of grace because of that book. It's kind of like naming your kid Hitler, you know? It used to be a normal name, not anymore. But think of all the fun nicknames you could have for someone named Ebenezer. There's a lot of consonants in there that you could break down. What up, Ebby? Get in the car, Ebby. We're going egging or something. I don't know what the kids do. Or knees. Oh my God, with the Z at the end? Oh, I guess that could be like a you're suck a dick joke, but yeah, I wouldn't say that. Like, say he makes team captain of the football team and he gets a touchdown. Oh, you just got kneesed, bitch. I think it's fun. B tier. Then we have Edward. So there definitely are a few Edwards hanging around nowadays, but they usually just go by Ed. Edward is by far the dorkiest name you could be born with. Well, actually, looking at this list, it gets worse, but it's not a great start. You can go by Eddie and hide behind that for a while, but once someone checks your license and sees that there's a word at the end of it, like Squidward, you're gonna get bullied to shit. So just put that one at D. We'll leave him alone. Jebediah? Oh my God, are you a prophet? A tier. I'm gonna talk about it more, but put that in A tier right away. Imagine going to a 2-year-old's birthday party and he walks up to you and his name is Jebediah. Holy fuck, I would assume he's gonna lead a cult. You're setting that kid up for success. Imagine having a CEO named Jebediah. Everyone would listen to the kid named Jebediah. Dudley? Dudley is, well, the only nickname you can have is Dud. So that's probably F tier. I'm gonna do 2 of them at once because they both have the same vibe to them, which is Albert and Arthur. You can make nicknames out of them by doing the first syllable, so you got Al and Art. And I just feel like these names demand respect. Albert is more of a nerd than Arthur, and Arthur probably owns a collection of something, like toy trains, but they're both well-respected members of their community. And there's just something more powerful with having an A at the beginning of your name, because that just means you're gonna go first in a lot of middle school activities. So that's an A tier name for me, and that's not on purpose. And then we have Cecil. Ugh, not great. Cecil sounds like someone that you invite along to do some mischief, and he rats everyone out because he gets caught holding the bag because he didn't do what you fucking told him. Cecil is the teacher's pet. Cecil's gonna go on to have a mid-tier job, and he's gonna be like some kind of management, and no one's gonna like him. But it does have a fun little bounce to it, Cecil, so I'll give it a D, I think. All right, let's move on to the modern classics. Now, these aren't like the newest names that are all bullshit. These are like the, 80s to early 2000s names that were flowing in. But first we have Zach. Now, yes, that's a biblical name, I'm pretty sure, but it was very popular in the 90s and 2000s. So here's the breakdown, okay? There's two spellings of Zach. Zach with an H, Zach with a K. Zach with an H, sucks big wang. That is Zach, dummy. I don't know why you're expecting a CH to make a K sound, but I don't fuck with that at all. Zachary with an H eats his own boogers. That's a D tier. But Zachary with a K? Zachary with a K. Let me tell you about Zachary with a K. Do you want to learn how to surf? Do you want to learn how to shoot a paintball gun at a neighbor's house? That's Zach with a K, buddy. He's gonna come in clutch. Zach with a K doesn't study for a single test and yet somehow pulls out a B- average. Zach with a K is an A tier name. Then we have Tucker, and that's my name. And I'll put that in the category of like Tucker, Trevor, Hunter. By definition, hick names. A specific white subset is the hick, and they name their kids like activities that poor white people do, aka like hunt and tuck fabrics. And it's been a tough name to have my entire life. One, because a lot of people name their dogs Tucker, which is something I have to jump over every time I meet a golden retriever. But these names, they give you a reputation that precedes you. Like when you show up and someone's saying, oh, Tucker's gonna come to the party, you expect a backwards trucker hat and a flannel. That's what happens. So that's I guess D tier. Then we have Josh. I've never met a Josh that I didn't like. Joshes are usually pretty chill people, but at the end of the day, it's also a really fun name to yell. Like if you're angry at a young kid named Joshua, Joshua, get off the jungle gym, Joshua! And then there's Drake and Josh. Drake, I mean, that's not a good example. But yeah, I'll give Josh a solid B. Josh is a good name. It just sounds like you sat down into a beanbag. Josh. Joey, Joseph, any one of the Joe. Once again, those have three different meanings in my head. Joey, how you doing? Joseph, you are a altar boy. And Joe pays his taxes on time and doesn't cause a fuss. So that's just a regular C. Then we have Christopher. Now, I love when people go by Topher. I feel like that's one of the most underrated white names you could have. Chris, C tier. There's nothing really going on there, but Topher? Topher? Fuck yeah, that's an A tier. Maybe S tier for me. Dexter? Oh. So my brother's name is Dex, right? And his name is not Dexter. It's just Dex. Let me break that down for you. My parents were afraid that Dex was going to be made fun of because of Poindexter, which was a common mean thing to call nerds at the time. I think because it was a US politician. I don't know the backstory. So they just named him Dex, and I was named Tucker. And my parents didn't have the foresight to see that our names rhymed with sex and fucker. So it's not great all around. Also, once again, very common dog name, Dex. And I don't know, maybe it's just because my brother is named Dex, but whenever I think of Dexters, you just think of a little annoying dork. So that's a F tier for me. Alex is okay. We'll give that a B tier. Alec, F tier. You're trying to be different, and I fucking hate that. Patrick, you're Irish. That's a pass by me. I'll give that a C tier. Tyler is I think a whiter trash version of Tucker, in my opinion. Tyler really wants a dirt bike, but he can't afford it. Tyler loves Mountain Dew. Tyler is D tier for me. Oh, Ben. I like Ben. Ben's a pretty cool one. Now, the difference is Ben can go by Benny, and Ben, whatever. He's just Benny and the Jets. It's a pretty normal name. C tier. However, there are some Bens out there that go by the full Christian name Benjamin, and that's not cool. Hey, you know how you have one of the most identifiable and shortest names of all time? Let's make that 5 fucking syllables, or I didn't count, but that's way too many syllables. D tier, Benjamin. All right, now we're gonna move down the line to the Gen Z names, like the ones that I'm not cool with this. White people got bored over the pandemic, and we've just started naming kids dumb things that I hate. So one telltale sign of Gen Z names is that they just spell them incorrectly, and a great example of this is Aiden's and its variants. Aiden, Jaden, Jason, Peyton. It's all disgusting. There was a trend in the early 2000s with putting X's in people's names like Xavier, and we have transitioned over to the Y because people throw Y's into names that do not need them. But you're gonna be a fucking 90-year-old man with the name Peyton. You're gonna be oh, here comes old Mr. Peyton. That's fucking ridiculous. That's an F tier. All of those were F tier names. Actually, I don't know. Aiden gets a pass if you spell it correctly. I'll give you a C on that. I saw one kid on the internet named Jyler F. Holy fuck. Skylar is also an obnoxious one, but at least you can just call him Sky, and I think a lot of non-binary people use that name anyway, so you're gonna blend right in, so we'll give that a C tier. Oh, I forgot Justin. I forgot talking about Justin in the early 2000s one. Justin is an okay name. Justin and Brittany, which I'm gonna get into later, were the big 90s names to name your kids, and Justin usually ends up to me being a pretty trustworthy guy. I mean, not this Justin who ruined his own tour, but besides that, Justin's usually become like a town cop that does his job pretty well. We'll give that a B tier, but I don't know. There's There's so many made up Gen Z names that I do not have time to go into. So if you have a Gen Z stupid name, put it in the comments so we can all laugh at you. Moving on to the women. Now I'm gonna start in the same vein of the old people names and then go down from there. First we have Anne, A-N-N-E. I love Anne. Oh my God, do I love Anne. Anne is like a librarian, or she is like a caretaker, and Anne is just, she has so much love to give, and I've never met an Anne. I've never met an Anne, but I just feel that with that name. Anne is a protector. Anne might be S tier. I might name my fucking daughter Anne. On the other side of that, we have Patricia. Boo. Boo, Patricia. You can call her Pat, which is, I hate that too. Patricia gives off the vibe of someone who brings raisins when they're in charge of snacks. Do you understand what I'm trying to say here? Patricia, D tier. Maybe F tier. Put it between those two. Susie. Susie is a pretty old person name, although you only in your head see it as a young person name, and I don't know why. Oh, it's Susan. Their full name is Susan. Susie is a crazy thing to go by when you're over the age of 40. That is literally a pigtail name. That's a little girl with pigtails. Susan gets a D tier. All right, let's talk about some of the really old fucking names. Up first, we have Mabel. Now, I know what you're thinking, Gravity Falls, but that's a one-off. No one's named Mabel anymore. I don't know. I feel like Mabel back in the day was a bit of a town bicycle, a little bit of a tart. There goes Mabel showing her ankles again. You know, it's just like it's a little promiscuous. That being said, I think we should bring Mabel back because one, we could always use more whores, and two, I just think it's a cute name. We'll put Mabel at B. Next up, we have Dorothy. S tier name. Dorothy is a fantastic name. First of all, nickname Dot. That's the best name for a woman I've ever heard in my life. And like, it's just, Dorothy is such a beautiful name. Dorothy. It's fucking fantastic. Yeah, the Wizard of Oz and all that shit and kind of took over that whole vibe, but start naming your kids Dorothy. That name is fucking fantastic. I love it so much. I could easily fall in love with a Dot. I could easily do that. We have Ethel. Ethel drives the bus. Or Ethel is a tough one. Ethel just reminds me of like chemicals, like ethyl propanol or whatever the fuck. It's just, it sounds gritty. Ethel is the kind of lady who microdoses her husband with the shit she finds in apple seeds over the course of 2 years and kills him slowly. D tier. And then there's Gertrude. I can't imagine a time in history where this was a nice thing to name your child. A baby must have to come out of the womb visibly fucked up to name a child Gertrude. Do you know what the nickname of Gertrude is? Gertie. That sounds like an STD. Oh, how was Tijuana? It was great, except for I got a fucking case of the Gertie. F tier name. That name is fucking horrible. All right, let's move on to the modern classics. There's a couple in here that I really enjoy. Up first is Jennifer. Now, my girlfriend's name is Jennifer, so I'm a little bit biased, but I think that name's really pretty. I mean, it's associated with Jennifer Aniston, which is one of the most beautiful women who have ever walked this earth. But Jennifer, it's soft the whole time. Jennifer. You could whisper it. And the nickname Jen, I love when you have the ability to double up on the consonants at the end of it. Jen with 2 N's, it sounds like, I don't know, it's like cyberpunk. I don't know, that doesn't make any sense. But Jen is S tier, and I'm not biased. Ashley, I don't know, it has like that weird vibe of it where it's like a dumb slut from the early 90s. I don't blame me. That's just historically what it has been in media, but Ashley I think is a really pretty name because you can call her Ash. I mean, personally, I love masculine nicknames for women. Like when a girl's named Joe for Jolene, oh my God, I've never been more attracted to a lady in my life. That being said, Ashley deserves more respect. We're gonna give that a B tier. Then we have Stephanie. I don't know. Stephanie's not great. Stephanie is harsh sounding. Stephanie. And also, Steph is very close to staph, which sounds like staph infection. I got a staph infection, so we'll give that a low C. Same goes for Bethany. Bethany's lower. Bethany is F tier. That's not great. Yeah, I don't know. There's definitely more white people names. I just can't think of them. In the comments, I'm sure you have a white person name. Let me know down below. And if I said anything mean about your name, just know that I meant it and I will not take it back. New videos every Saturday and Wednesday. Like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you for watching. Oh, I forgot. Any junior name. Like they go by something junior, but they call themselves like PJ or DJ or TJ. Stupid. If you're a grown adult going by that, get the fuck out of my face. JD Vance. That's not even the same thing, but you don't give yourself you're not a writer.